there's always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. Live from the heartland, fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. What do you want in your foxhole? It's an important question to ask every single day. I want God in my foxhole, that's for sure. It's just breaking daylight. We've got a lot to do here today, so let's get moving. The Steve Gruber Show often results, by the way, in extended periods of American pride, American optimism, and uncontrollable enthusiasm about this country's future. You have been warned. Here we go. 3 big things this hour. Number 1, MSNBC is dead. I mean it. It's officially dead. Its rebranding is underway now. MS Now. It's so bad. Seems all those left-wing networks are falling into financial ruin. That's what happens when you lie about everything. Number 2, the Democrats have fled Texas and are now giving up and returning home to face the fact that there will be redistricting in the Lone Star State. Nothing to be done to stop it. And number 3, yesterday marked a potentially pivotal moment towards peace in Eastern Europe, as President Zelenskyy of Ukraine met with President Trump and a coalition of European leaders to discuss an end to the Russo-Ukraine war. There were no guarantees, no promises, but we're told significant progress. That according to President Trump. More meetings to come, we're told. Listen to this.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have the president of Ukraine with us. We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very, very substantial progress in many ways. If everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat, and I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
A reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that. Now, Trump has been on the phone with Putin since this time. They're looking for a place for a trilateral meeting, which was discussed. The tone was very different from that February meeting. Cooler heads prevailed. J.D. Vance didn't need to deliver a lesson. Zelenskyy even wore a suit of sorts, for this part of the meeting at least. Trump even made note of it, remarking on it. Here he is.
The best I have.
Ready, face?
We love them. We love them.
So there it is, right from the get-go. Of course, it's not really about the suit. It's about the message. It's about whether or not Zelenskyy steps foot on U.S. soil feeling entitled or being grateful, whether he was going to be cooperative or stubborn. Now, he started this discussion in public by saying thank you to President Trump, apparently learning his lesson from the last time when the vice president had to call him out for not saying thank you even once. Listen to this.
And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If I can, first of all, thank
Please.
you for invitation and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war. Thank you. And using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States. She sent a letter to Putin about our children, abducted children, and my wife, she, First Lady of Ukraine, she gave the letter. It's not to you, to your wife.
It's not for you, it's for your wife. Zelenskyy's wife's letter was another nod at diplomacy. A thank you of sorts to the First Lady Melania, who wrote a touching letter to Vladimir Putin asking him to restore the sound of children laughing in Ukraine by ending the war. But the end of the war still seems not in sight. Zelenskyy understandably doesn't want to give up any parts of Ukraine. Putin predictably wants portions of Ukraine he doesn't even currently occupy. He wants it all. Putin has demanded the secession of the entire Donetsk and Luhansk regions. His military forces currently occupy around 3/4 of that land, but he has been unable to invade a small section, and he wants Zelenskyy to hand it over. It's more significant than the size would suggest. The reason he's been able to break through to those cities is because they are huge population centers housing some of Ukraine's top military sites. In addition, Ukraine is concerned that if Putin is handed those cities, that region, he'd be able to access the rest of Ukraine when he chooses sometime in the future. As I said yesterday, there are going to be tough choices to be made. Tough choices. President Zelenskyy says his country's constitution makes it impossible to give up territory, a move that should only be discussed at a trilateral meeting in the first place. Here he is.
Russia is still unsuccessful in Donetsk region. Putin has been unable to take it for 12 years. And the constitution of Ukraine makes it impossible to give up territory or trade land. Since the territorial issue is so important, it should be discussed only by the leaders of Ukraine and Russia at the trilateral Ukraine, United States, Russia. So far, Russia gives no sign that trilateral will happen, and if Russia refuses, then new sanctions must follow.
So, a national referendum would need to pass in Ukraine to cede territory to Russia to end the war, with a majority of all Ukrainians voting to amend their constitution. That would be required to make it work. To call it an uphill battle is an understatement. Are the Ukrainians tired enough of war to give up land? Maybe. The answer will probably be no without some security guarantees, promises that Europe will shore up Ukrainian defenses against any future attacks by Putin. But we've been there before. Putin allegedly agreed to some form of security guarantee in Ukraine with Russia while he was in Alaska, and Trump says Europe needs to be the one to provide that kind of support. It has to come from Europe. Listen to this.
Reinforce my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out. And I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure.
This is the guy, President Donald Trump, that we've been told over and over again was going to start World War III. And I can't help but be amazed by how much of a unifying world leader he showed himself to be again yesterday at the White House. It's pretty incredible that you can stand strong on America First principles and continue to be respected by leaders around the world and bring them together to work on peace. It was a remarkable turn of events. We're going to get into that in just a moment here. I appreciate you being here. Remember, you can watch live on YouTube every day. You can catch us on X and other places, but YouTube seems to be the place that we seem to be drifting toward. Seem to like that the most. Everybody tells me it's the best app. We want to go where you have the best ability to catch the program, the best app if you're traveling or moving around. Glad to have you here. We'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Let's pick up the discussion right there with these European leaders. All right? Let's pick up the discussion there because it's very important. Many of these leaders are liberal, socialist even. Some of them running their countries into the ground with open borders and woke nonsense, who have criticized President Trump numerous times before. They still had glowing words of praise for our president. Listen to this.
I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years.
An important day, a new phase, after 3.5 years that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you.
To ahead, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years in relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point, so I thank you for that.
I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock basically with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call, and from there we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to.
The rest of the world understands what much of the mainstream media apparently cannot. Opening up dialogue with President Putin last weekend was monumental. It was a good thing. Something no one else could do. What's even more impressive is that he's keeping up that dialogue, even while dealing with the very people that Putin would consider his enemies. All true. Listen.
We just spoke to, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting.
Yeah. He's expecting a call, which he got, by the way. But the media just doesn't get it. The pea-brained Trump haters act like Trump's the one who invaded Ukraine. Of course, Trump's not surprised by the animosity, but he does call it a phenomenon that seems particular to his presidency, which, well, it is. Here's what he said.
The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, you know, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about. It was a big one. But they don't even write about that.
Yeah. Word on the street is that yesterday was not expected to be the end-all, be-all, but rather an important step along the way. Of course, Zelenskyy is not going to just swallow Putin's territorial proposals whole on the first go, but he can't dig in and make only demands with no concessions. Hopefully, he contributes some meaningful suggestions toward compromise. I'm sorry, but that's the way this is going to have to go. Because that's what's going to have to happen for peace, which is still Trump's end goal. Not a ceasefire, peace. Listen.
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept. You know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
Yeah. White House sources say that yesterday, hopefully, fast-tracked a peace deal toward a matter of weeks instead of months or years. If they're right, the Nobel Peace Prize for Donald Trump should be in the bag. Who knows, though? If there's one thing that we can take away from yesterday, it's that we can hold our head high when our president leads on the world stage. He's strong, he's effective, and he's even civil. In the most high pressure of situations, truly a remarkable thing to behold. So there you have it. Donald Trump leading on the world stage. Are you tired of being at the mercy of propane prices? Well, how about if you've got a water well, you're already halfway to energy independence. And it's not just propane. It's heating oil, even wood. Add a well connect in just 8 hours and cut your heating bills by half while cooling your home more efficiently too. No excavation, no major renovation, no more surprise fill-ups from big propane. No. A well connect, if you've got a well in your yard, you're halfway to a geothermal system. This is a system that adds on to your existing system. And I want you to look at this closely. By the way, they're also looking for dealers across the country, from New York to Minnesota to Montana. If you're in the northern part of the country, they're looking for dealers. This is a patented made in America system. Changes everything. Like I said, add a well connect as little as 8 hours, start saving big. You'll cut your heating costs by up to 50%, extend the life of your furnace, cool your home more efficiently too, all without major renovation. It's the fastest, most affordable way to bring geothermal home. And you can learn more right now at wellconnectgeo.com. Made in Michigan, built for your well. Yeah, it's a beautiful system. We've had them on here a number of times. It can really save you a pile of money. Propane, heating oil, wood, maybe natural gas, but the other ones are much more likely to be a perfect fit. And by the way, you've got some government rebates that are going to run out at the end of the year because of the big, beautiful bill. It's going to eliminate some of these big rebates. So if you're interested, now's the time to do it. If you finance the system, your savings on the system will beat whatever you're paying. I'm telling you, I believe in American companies and innovation. I believe in WellConnect. You should check into it. Take a look. If you're a dealer, an HVAC dealer, take a look. They're looking for dealers all over America. New Hampshire, Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, all those great cold northern states, all right? I'll take a break and be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, so a lot going on. MSNBC is no more. All right, I couldn't help it. Look, you did it to yourselves. You did it to yourselves. You know, you got people like Nicole Wallace on the here. Joy Reid, well, no, Joy's been booted. Let's see. Rachel Maddow still on your air, making $20 million. It's a financial disaster, MSNBC. Why? Because nobody trusts them. Even Joe Scarborough's kind of coming back to his senses. He's kind of sniffed the smelling salts, coming back a little bit. Anyhow, they're changing the name to MS Now, which I would just say is MS No. MSNBC will be joining CNBC, USA, and other channels in a spinoff company called Versant. Yeah, it's part of Comcast spinoff from NBC Universal. It was announced late last year. According to the Wall Street Journal, it'll be My Source, News Opinion World. That's MS Now. My Source, News Opinion World. That's what I say to that. Garbage. Yeah. We're working on a new logo, but I saw it. CNBC is going to keep its name. Yeah, because they're not a complete embarrassment. You know, it's just MS No. Here it is. It's sinking too. It won't go any damn place. It's just, yeah, good Lord. These people, good Lord. Ah, yes. Who do you want to talk about now? How about the Wellness Company? My good friends at the Wellness Company trying to keep you healthy and live strong for another great day. The Wellness Company has the best emergency medical kits on the market, the gold standard. They've got they've got everything you need. Here it is. Antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, all right here. That's why I wanted to show you. The medical emergency kit from the Wellness Company. It's a beautiful thing. They've got lots of emergency kits for stubbing your toe or if you need stuff in your house in case there's an emergency. TWC.health/Gruber. You can find out more. TWC.health/Gruber. Find out more from the Wellness Company. There you go. I'll be right back with a special interview with Shawn French from the Determined Society. Something a little bit different for you today. Back after this.
Today.
Let me tell you something. It's clear that people are not as strong as they used to be. And I don't mean physically strong, I mean mentally strong. People go to pieces over anything these days. It really is strange to me. Resilience, steadfastness, just not there. There are for some people. But how many people do you see just go to pieces and, and refuse to talk to somebody? And I'm not going to hear that. I'm like, come on. Wouldn't even have a conversation with somebody? Come on. My next guest is the opposite of that. Shawn French is the founder and host of The Determined Society, and it's the Power of Determination podcast. He's joining me now because he talks a lot about how to overcome, how to get through things, how to persevere. Shawn, thank you for being here.
Hey, pleasure to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. All right, the power of determination. Am I wrong when I say I just feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't have determination? And to be blunt, I think there's a lot of wimps that have no intestinal fortitude. Why is that? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think it's the emergence of the social media platforms. Everything is, right there at your fingertips from social media. If you want to order food, you pull up an Uber Eats app and you get food right away within 15 to 45 minutes. I think America especially is used to getting things when they want it to satisfy their urges at the moment. And it's spilled over into their careers, their parenting, their marriages, and other relationships. So it's kind of a slippery slope there, Steve.
It is dangerous. All right, so I'm going to guess that was one of the ingredients that drove you to start the Determined Society. Tell us why you did it and what it is.
It was a complete accident, to tell you the truth. I was tinkering with a Facebook page to create a personal brand, right? I didn't know what it was at the time. And my goal was to wake up in a society where people chase their dreams, no matter how they felt emotionally at the time, because we know true determination and true commitment means going after what you want long after the emotion wears off. And too many people, once that motivation or the emotion wears off, they start to listen to all the limiting beliefs in their head and people that tell them that they can't do something, and they listen to it and they take action on the complete opposite that's going to make them great. So for me, building this show was about bringing stories of determination and resilience to society and allowing people to hear stories from local people or just run-of-the-mill Joe Public, and now it's bursted into public figures such as Jay Leno and you've been on my show. And what we find is everybody has their struggle, right? Everybody has these moments where they have to overcome certain adversities, obstacles, and typically it's not because it's not focusing on the main prize. It's focusing on the work and everything that you need to do to follow your process and your strategy. And that's what we bring to the people.
Hard work is something that I think that's one of the things that is kind of lost in America. And I'm going to focus a little bit on this, and then I'm going to ask you some of your obstacles in life. But, one of the things that I hear from you, I just don't like that boss. I'm not going to work for that person. In life, you have to work with difficult people. You have to work with people you don't like and don't agree with. Sometimes they're called the boss, and sometimes you just have to knuckle down and do what has to be done. But people, they'll leave a job. He was mean to me. He said something. How do you function like that? I had bosses when I was 17, 18, 20 years old, whatever. I didn't like them a bit. I respected them, didn't like them, learned a lot from them in retrospect, looking back. People need to be able to figure out how to work in difficult situations, and work is the word, isn't it?
It sure is. It's a hard thing to really go through, right? I think most people can really relate to not liking a boss or not liking a teacher or even a coach that they may have had in Little League or even in high school or college. But here's the fact. If you decide on how you're going to operate out of your standard and how you're going to bring yourself to every situation based on somebody else and how they treat you, you're going to have a very hard time.
Yeah.
You're going to have a very hard time being successful.
You're going to struggle.
And I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, you're going to struggle a lot. You mentioned here people having these, anti-productive thoughts. All right, Shawn, so let me ask you this. Hard work is the key. Being able to overcome obstacles. Oftentimes that's tough people, difficult people. We've all been there. But tell me some of the things that you overcame that helped to shape you.
Most recently when I left corporate America to go full-time in my show, there was a lot of adversity. We didn't know when the next paycheck was going to come. I have a family, 3 kids and a wife, and we were white knuckling it all the way up into early 2025. And in those moments right there, we have the opportunity to either say, I'm going to retreat and I'm going to go back on what I set out to do and go get a job somewhere. And there was times where I thought that's what I was going to have to do, or we can bear down and we can fall in love with the process even deeper and work consistently and focus on the one thing we can control every day. For me, it was making the show better. And from that point on, things started to grow and things started to get better. Revenue started coming in. And now we don't have the same issues that we did back then. But if I would have quit when I was feeling down, I would not be here. I wouldn't be sitting here on the show with you. So I think the biggest thing is no matter what you're going through, don't stop before the reward. I mean, that too many people are doing that.
Yeah, I agree with it. You know, I've got some friends of mine that are business trainers and so forth. And one of the keys that I hear across all these platforms, and I think I'm hearing it from you, is when you decided to do your show, you got to be all in. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for questioning. There's no room for the head trash, as Ivy taught me, my wife taught me years ago, no head trash. You got to focus and you got to be 100% in. Agreed?
I absolutely agree. Go back to the old story about Hernan Cortez. Burn the boats. Burn every method of retreat possible. Because if you leave one small option to go back on something, then you lose. Then you absolutely lose. So when you paint yourself into a corner, go all in on something, you sink or swim. And hopefully people are able to fight out of the corner and come out victorious. That's the plan.
Burn the boat. I kind of like that. I like that saying. We burned the boat. There's no going back. We're going this way, and we're going to find the city of gold or whatever we're looking for. And that's great training. I want to ask you this, and we're going to take a quick break. But how do you? I mean, you have to work out at the gym to stay in shape. You have to, take care of your muscles. You have to take care of your mind. How do you train for mental toughness and resilience?
Well, you got to know that the light switch is going to flip every now and again. You're going to be faced with some type of adversity, something trying to suppress you from moving forward. You have to be vigilant all the time and be ready for it. But you don't have to get ready.
I need you to hold that thought because we are going to get up against a break here. And I want this whole answer because I want people to have a takeaway here. We need more mental toughness, more hard work, and more dads wouldn't hurt either. And while we're getting you mentally tough, let's get you well as well. Could your health issues be caused by an invisible enemy? Fatigue, bloating, brain fog? What if parasites are the real culprit? I was digging into parasite cleanses when I came across a video from a trusted doctor who mentioned all of that, all right? He says ivermectin and mebendazole are two powerful anti-pathogens, and the good news is the wellness company now put those together in a parasite cleanse. It is the gold standard, my friends. I've gone through it. I've done it, and so should you. 60 million Americans have parasites. Could it be you? If you have pets, you eat sushi, yeah, parasites are out there. Great deal for you today. It's the hottest thing going. twc.health/Gruber. You'll get $60 off a parasite cleanse and free shipping. Ivermectin and mebendazole. twc.health/Gruber. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. Shawn French with me from the Determined Society. And we're focusing on some things that are really important to me because I feel like America has lost its work ethic. All right, and we need a lot more hard work in this world. People, you mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. People just expect, the DoorDash to show up and give them food, and they expect the TV to be on and the game to be there, and they'll have beer and what. Life is just easy, and they don't have to work for anything. But in life, if you want something good, it takes hard work. And so I want to go back to the question I asked you just before we took the break, and that is, how do you practice mental toughness? How do you, that steadfastness, how do you make that part of your daily routine and make it, get better at it and train?
My opinion is to react instead of respond, right? And too many people are reacting to things, reacting to external stimuli, meaning, oh, I need to get ready for this now because this is the potential outcome and I can gain X, Y, Z from it. But if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? So every single day, you have a standard, you know what's going to move you forward, and you do those things without fail, no matter how you feel at the time. If you need to wake up and you go to the gym, that's your plan. You go. If you need to read at a certain time, you do it. You need to have time with your family. Do all the things without fail that you said you were going to do. And when you do that, you build this level of confidence, right? And that level of confidence gets you to take more risks, and you're always ready. You're always executing. And from that point on, you will grow, period. It's point blank, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing,
true.
You don't need to get ready for anything if you stay there.
One of the standards that we've had around here, and we tell our kids this, I do, and it basically, sometimes you have to do what has to be done, whether you want to do it, whether you like to do it, do what has to be done when it has to be done, whether you like it or not. That's a big part of life. And people, I'm sorry, there's a lot of lazy people out there, Shawn. Am I wrong?
No, or just lack of inspiration. I don't know if anybody is inherently lazy. I mean, you look at different things. I think, being a father, I can really look at this. There's no lazy kids. There's lazy parents. So if I'm lazy at home, I am building a lazy child. I am poisoning my children into being lazy. But if they see me moving forward every day, doing something small, no 0 days, your 100% is going to look different from one day to the next. But as long as you keep moving, like you stay inspired. You're not going to always be motivated, but you're going to be disciplined. And if you can be disciplined, lazy is the last thing anybody will ever think of you.
Yeah. All right. So I want to get a couple more really important points in here before we run out of time with Shawn French here today. First of all, look, there's a lot of people out there that are busting their tail, but they're tired. They're worn out. Maybe they're a single parent. They've got a couple of kids. They're doing everything they can. They're working 2 jobs. How do you tell people to stay with it? People that are struggling, maybe they're struggling with a bit of failure, or they're just burned out a little bit. I do see that from people that are working hard, and they're, man, I'm just tired. I'm burned out. What do you do about that?
Because that's the only thing they're working on. That's the only thing they're doing. They're waking up in the morning and they're going, working their fingers to the bone at work. And that's commendable. I love that. That's what we need to do. We need to be focused in our jobs and our careers. But what about you? What are you doing for you? It could be anything. It could be going for a 25-minute walk. Wake up an extra half hour early. Go for the walk and get your mind moving. Get your body moving. Get the blood circulating, right? Those are small ways to start giving back to yourself. And when you do that, you start to have more boundaries. And when you have more boundaries, you have more success. And then the burnout tends to kind of temper a little bit because you're giving back to the one person that matters the most, and that's you.
Absolutely.
Because you can't be there for everybody if you're not there for yourself.
Well, and that's true. If you're not doing the best you can for you, how are you going to be there for your kids or your spouse or your partner at work or whatever it might be? All right. One other thing, and this is your take on toxic positivity versus real growth versus really growing into it.
Toxic positivity is dangerous.
See, to
because
me,
you become
toxic
delusional.
positivity, people are going, why would all that positivity be dangerous? Please explain.
Because it's not reality. It's not reality. It's not always positive, right? Building something big like you have and like I'm building right now, it's not always positive. There's moments of defeat. There's moments of tears. There's moments of depression. There's moments of all these other things.
All of that.
But all of that stuff. But what we have to do is evaluate every single day. Am I a delusional optimist? If you are, that's toxic behavior, period. You need to be understanding of where you're truly at and the work that you need to do and the things that you need to follow to move forward. Hey, listen, I love positivity, right? But an overly positive person is delusional and is not seeing everything for what it is.
So sometimes you do, I guess it's a trite term, but it's a reality check. I mean, it's a term that's used quite a bit, but really, that's what you're saying. Have a reality check. It's good to be positive. It's good to be optimistic. But if you're optimistic and your bank account for the business is overdrawn by $1,000, you probably ought to take a real assessment of where you are, right?
That's exactly it. You know, and a lot of times being complacent comes from toxic positivity. You have to stay aware. You have to stay vigilant of everything going on around you.
Yeah.
And you have to work. You have to be strategic.
I keep hearing that term, work. All right. Shawn French, the Determined Society, LLC, the Power of Determination, and the Determined Society podcast. How do people find you and learn more?
Oh, thank you. So they can go on the determinedsociety.com. They can find us on Instagram at the Shawn French and at the Determined Society. But please go and search on Spotify, the Determined Society with Shawn French, and on Apple. And hey, click follow and listen in and let me know what you like.
Top 1% in the world of podcasts. Shawn, you're doing a lot of things right. Hard work does pay off. It's been a real honor to have you on the program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I mean, there it is, guys. A lot to learn from that man. Top 1% podcast in the world for a reason. I'll be right back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back at it. Look, Hurricane Aaron is going to veer away, it looks like. I'm just giving you a quick update here. It's a 3, it's going to be a 2, then it'll be a 3 again off the coast of the Carolinas. Does not look like it's going to make anywhere near landfall, but it's going to create, waves and rough surf, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, maybe Virginia, up towards D.C. For rough seas. Then it'll turn out, come in south of Halifax and so forth and head out. See, but it's the next couple of storms that appear to be more potentially dangerous. We'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, have you seen this horrible video? A semi-truck driver making a U-turn right in the middle of a freeway, basically. A minivan slams into the trailer of the truck, kills 3 people. Well, the truck driver was an illegal alien. Given a driver's license in the state of California, so he had license to kill in Florida. License to kill.
Did he get a CDL? He
Yeah.
was able to get a CDL.
Apparently, yeah, apparently. In California. I'm trying to run that down right now, but all the reports here, I mean, that van was destroyed. Everybody in that van died. He's been guy's been living in the country illegally. Yeah, here it is, Anthony. The Florida Highway, the FLHSMV in Florida says that he had a commercial driver's license in the state of California after crossing the Mexico border illegally in 2018. An illegal alien, no business being here, killed 3 people in Florida. He was given a license to kill. A license to kill. How many more people? How many more people have to die before we say enough of this? Throw them all out. Start over. Start clean. Come in right. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. I'm glad to have you aboard for the conversation as we kick off another brand new hour here of the program. Glad to have you on board. Look, there's a lot going on. Donald Trump's working hard to save the world. We're trying to save it one step at a time, too. Who do you want in your foxhole? That's my question to you. Who do you want in your foxhole? Here are three big things you need to know this hour as we roll into it. Number one, Hurricane Aaron. Still on the move, still a very dangerous storm, but the path seems to be veering away from a direct hit with the eastern seaboard. Good news. Number two, the Trump administration unveiling a massive new effort to put AI to work inside the administration, right? To maximize what people are doing. It could put the United States in a great position, in the lead to stay. We'll see how that plays out. And number three, Ukraine's still at the top of the agenda. It's still the biggest effort at peace by President Trump, and basically by any president I've ever known. Yet there are clowns that simply cannot let it go. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. He could end every war on the planet, every conflict, every disease, and they wouldn't care. If he ended cancer, these idiots would come out and say, he's put oncologist, son of business. They criticize Donald Trump at every turn, no matter what he does to bring peace to the world or anything else. It doesn't matter to them. They're idiots. Here's one idiot, and I see this guy out there. He's rolled out as if he's some sort of an expert. Neocon warmonger John Bolton. Neocon warmonger John Bolton is a clown. He's a clown. He's making jokes about sending U.S. troops to Ukraine. Listen to this idiot.
Imperial order. I think we're a long way from any of that. I can't wait till the MAGA base hears that Donald Trump has committed American combat forces, U.S. forces against Russian forces on the line in Ukraine if the Russians violate the ceasefire. One nuclear power directly against another nuclear power. I don't think that's what they signed up for with Donald Trump, and I don't think he's necessarily thought through that implication either. He wants a Nobel Peace Prize, and he wants it now. So he's willing to say a lot of things. He didn't really commit to anything. You could have all kinds of U.S. troops in Ukraine, as we did before the invasion. We had train and assist missions. They weren't there to fight anybody. They were there to train the Ukrainians. That's very different from a combat force. And
all right. Great to know that John Bolton thinks it's funny that somehow there could be boots on the ground. I mean, is that funny to people? Is that funny to hear? He's an idiot. They want war. More than 2 years ago, the Biden administration said no to a peace deal in Ukraine. I want to remind you of that and ask, why would the Biden administration have turned down a deal for peace? Why? Listen.
But as you note, we've been very, very public about any concerns about some sort of a ceasefire announcement right now. We all want to see peace. We all want to see this war end. It could end today if Mr. Putin did the right thing. But a ceasefire called right now would basically just ratify Russia's conquest and give Mr. Putin more time to re-equip and retrain and restart operations at a time and a place of his choosing.
Now, when asked how Ukraine would likely respond if the offer of a ceasefire were put on the table, Kirby gave this response.
Yes, we do, and we would reject it as well. We think that that's an unacceptable outcome.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unacceptable outcome. Peace is an unacceptable outcome for these folks. But not for you and I. In fact, even in Ukraine now, and I'll get to this in a second, even in Ukraine now, the hope is for peace. They want peace. Yesterday, Emmanuel Macron was among the world leaders praising Donald Trump, dismissing critics like those, dismissing the people of the Biden administration and people like John Bolton, who will always want more war. More war, that's all they want. Here's Macron.
Thank you, Mr. President, for organizing this meeting and for your commitment. And everything was said, but I just have to say here, everybody around this table is in favor of peace. And we work very hard, and we've worked very hard during the past few years to have a peace which is a robust and long-standing peace. This is why the idea of a trilateral meeting is very important, because this is the only way to fix it.
Yeah. Is there anybody else, by the way? Anybody else today that's worked harder for peace? Is there, I mean, this is a serious question. Is there another president in your lifetime? Is another president in anybody's lifetime that you can think of that worked harder for peace through strength, not war? Teddy Roosevelt, maybe? Maybe. Think about it. Going to all corners of the world. You know, Roosevelt, when he negotiated a peace between Japan and Russia, right? The Japanese-Russo War, right? But I come up with nothing else. Nothing else. Anyhow, how do Ukrainians feel about the war continuing? Listen to this.
Thank you, Mr. President, for...
Look at this. The vast majority, about three-quarters, 73%, agreed with that position. Negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, only 22%. Look at where we are now. It's a complete flip. It's the inverse. Now 69% want to negotiate to end the war as soon as possible, compared to just 24% who want to fight until Ukraine wins. That's a 49-point drop in this position. Now, of course, negotiating to end the war as soon as possible, that's a bit more nuanced, right? Ukrainians don't want to agree to all of Russia's demand, but I think the idea of even there being some territory that would be not formally recognized as being given that Russia could in fact stay in, that does have majority support, but the idea of formal recognition of Russia's demands, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. They don't want anything to do with it. They're done with it. They're over it. And how could you not be? Look, there's 1.5 million people killed and wounded in this war so far, best estimate. More than the people killed in Europe, on the European continent in 1939 and 40 at the front end of World War II. Not the later years, of course, when it got really ugly. But 1.5 million people for a war that's gone nowhere. It's gone nowhere. Nothing's been accomplished particularly. You know, when you look at the eastern part of Ukraine, half of the territory that's controlled by Russia right now, that section in Donetsk and so forth, half of that territory was controlled by Russia prior to February of 22. Crimea has been controlled since 2012, of course, when Barack Obama did zero when Russia invaded Crimea. There you have it. Well, while elites got rich off crypto, hardworking American patriots were left behind, but not anymore. Block Trust IRA is changing that, bringing the crypto opportunity to real Americans like you. With crypto fueling President Trump's America First economic miracle, now is your chance to join the movement. The Animus AI trading platform runs 24/7, crushing old school strategies and helping patriots like you build serious wealth, just like the elites. But named the #1 crypto platform by Bitcoin Magazine, Block Trust IRA has up to $200 million in protection for you, and their clients have seen returns as high as 250%. It doesn't matter who you are. Teacher, small business owner, doesn't matter. Get up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you sign up now. Visit SteveGruberCrypto.com, SteveGruberCrypto.com. All right, coming up next, a Harvard Medical School professor emeritus and author of A Godless Crusade, the progressive campaign to rid the world of religion, from a former guy of Harvard. Oh, yeah. We've got Dr. Richard Kraton coming up next. Don't go anywhere. All right, a godless crusade, the progressive campaign to rid the world of religion. That's the book for my next guest. Dr. Richard Kraton is a Harvard Medical School professor emeritus and the author of that book, A Godless Crusade, the Progressive Campaign to Rid the World of Religion. Well, woke activism is quite something, isn't it? Professor, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
All right, so tell us about this book. You also say that woke activism is a mental disorder. You know, exposed to facts, they break out in a rash. It's interesting, and there's so many easy examples just in the last 48 hours. Trying to find peace in Ukraine, anything that this administration does is wrong. It doesn't matter what this president does. And I get people don't like him. I understand that. But when you do good things, I mean, there's presidents I didn't agree with on most things. But when they did something right, you say, hey, they did something right. These people are absolutely not. It wouldn't matter if he ended cancer. He would be attacked. That's how, I mean, they'd break out in a rash if he ended cancer. It's just nuts, literally nuts, isn't it?
I would say so, and I've actually written another book about that topic. The Trump delusion syndrome is a very real disorder. You know, it's really quasi-psychotic, if not frankly psychotic. These individuals are opposed to Trump at a personal level, but they're opposed to any conservative leader. So I'm not sure that if it wasn't Trump, if it was another Republican conservative in the office, that he wouldn't be receiving pretty much the same sort of derisive behavior.
Yeah. It's frightening. I mean, these folks they'll find their echo chamber and they won't leave. And how does that happen, Professor? Why does that happen?
I think there's a variety of reasons. There's a certain naivete on their part. There's a certain brainwashing that's occurred through the educational system and through those echo chambers you've just mentioned in which they live, so that they only receive certain degrees of certain types of news and certain types of facts, and they're really not in touch with the same reality that most of us are on the right. And I think that is the major issue. The reality for people on the left is really not the same as people on the right. There's almost no overlap at this point. And so it's almost impossible to really conceive of a future in which we can negotiate a reconciled peace, if you will, between these two groups.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the attack on religion. But there's only attack on one religion, really, maybe two, Christianity and Judaism. Right?
Christianity and Judaism.
That's it.
Again,
I mean, I saw 40,000 Muslims in the street of Dearborn, Michigan over the weekend. 40,000. They weren't attacked. 40,000 Christians were gathered somewhere. There'd be protesters and anti-protesters and all sorts of things. Didn't happen in Dearborn, Michigan when the Muslims were in the streets on the weekend. Why not?
Well, I think, again, there's a few reasons, but there's been an alliance that's formed over the last 60 years or so between the left and neo-Marxist groups and radical Islam, or Islam just in generically speaking. The major reason the focus, I think, is on Judeo-Christian ethic is because it's the dominant ethic in the West. And the underlying goal of the left is to undermine the Western civilization and the capitalist system. It's not by chance. This has been going on at least since the 1960s in an organized and systematic way. And so I think that's what we're encountering now. And again, the major focus was on Christianity. After October 7th, you could see an emergence of anti-Semitism in the country as well, again, being led by the radical left. So this is just a long-term strategy to undermine the Western civilization and the capitalist system.
Yeah. Can we turn this around? I mean, it just seems like, COVID shoved a lot of people out of the pews of the churches, big and small. In fact, it was specifically outlawed in places like Canada. You couldn't go to church, and if you did, they would just put handcuffs on you and drag you off to jail. Can it be turned around? I mean, I know there's been a bump back of attendance in church, according to what I read, but what's it going to take?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Again, the bump back may be real, but I'd like to reserve my opinion on that because most of what I've seen would suggest that maybe that's not the case with young people in particular. I think the only things that will potentially turn it around, I can think of three. One would be defeating these people convincingly and repeatedly at the ballot box. And again, doing much of what President Trump is trying to do now, which is systematically dismantle woke ideology in the institutions. The other thing is going to be the possibility of a frank civil war in this country. I wouldn't rule that out. I think that may be the only thing that heals this abscess that's developed. And the other possibility would be intervention from an outside force like China or some other anti-capitalist, anti-Western concern.
I think pain is what it's going to take. Real pain. Well, because nobody suffers any pain and everything's easy. Food on every corner and instant entertainment and my cell phone and you can communicate. Everything's instant. Everything's easy. And it feels like this has become their God, this thing in my hand for many of them, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're quite right about that. I think the people in this country have become soft. They become overly concerned with their so-called rights as opposed to their responsibilities. I don't think many are able to deal with much discomfort. And it's like what happened with the fall of the Roman Empire when the people were being offered bread and circus to distract them from the fact that the civilization was beginning to collapse.
Yeah. Bread and circus. You got that. Professor, thank you for being here. Always appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Interesting point of view, and yours is an interesting point of view. The book, my friends, A Godless Crusade, the progressive campaign to rid the world of religion. Well, two religions anyway. Professor, thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
All right. I'll take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Okay, so we're going to dig deeper into this guy in the next couple of days. Because Anthony asked, he said, well, how could he get a CDL, this guy? I'm obsessed with this story a little bit. Harjinder Singh. He was scheduled to be kicked out of the country. He came into the country from India illegally 2018. Anthony asked another question. Can he even read English? Can he read and understand English? I don't know. Did he even understand what the strangest thing about this video is? And this is the truck driver that pulled a U-turn, Fort Pierce, Florida. A minivan slammed into the truck, this 18-wheeler. Killed everybody in the van. I mean, the van's destroyed. He slammed into it. There's video. There's dash cam video looking back at the driver, and the car slams into his truck, and he just looks back and goes, huh. He doesn't even react, like, you just killed 3 people, and your reaction is, huh? How many people have to die before the left understands that California gave this guy a license to kill. California gave this guy a license to kill. He's an illegal alien that got a CDL in California. What did that take? What kind of test did that take?
Well, you got to think about too, like how different it is driving in India versus
here,
America. Yeah,
I guess, you know. But I'm telling you, we've had enough of it. We really have had. I have. I mean, you don't want to share the road with these people, do you?
No.
No. Hell no. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at PuroVet. PuroVet is part of Signal and PuroClean, reclamation companies that clean up after the fire, the flood, the earthquake, whatever it might be. They have offices all over the country, and they're doing something great for vets. It's called PuroVet. They're putting vets at the front of the line to get a franchise, cutting the cost, putting them in a position to succeed and donate to the community with their successful business. All right? You can find out more at purovet.com or 855-PuroVet. Give them a call, 855-PuroVet. Great program. I'll be back. All right, we have been watching, and we'll see what the next move is for Donald Trump, President Zelenskyy, and President Putin, right? We will see what happens next. Trump apparently was on the phone shortly after the meeting with the leaders of those European countries, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and the rest. He's trying to broker this peace. Meanwhile, we still have Gaza and the problems there. Asaf Romarowski is a PhD, is the executive director of the Scholars for Peace in the Middle East. He's back with me to talk more about the efforts for peace there. Asaf, thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, so here's an interesting juxtaposition. Donald Trump says he doesn't want a ceasefire in Ukraine. He wants the war to end. But there's a ceasefire been proposed in Gaza that can, they can have ceasefires there and they continue to fail. So I see his point of view. We need to bring this whole Gaza situation to an end, but unless Hamas capitulates, which apparently they don't appear to want to do, I don't see how you would get to a peace situation. And I'm appalled that some countries in, well, Canada, the UK, France, have recognized a Palestinian state that doesn't even exist. To me, that's appalling. Your thoughts?
100%. I mean, this is a fantasy of a Palestinian state. There is no state. There is no state to have with. I mean, you're talking about a Palestinian Authority that is run by an octogenarian who has been serving 20 years in a 4-year term. You have a terrorist Islamist jihadi organization who's been basically running the show in Gaza for all this time. And so the fact of the matter is that they see the use of the hostages as pawns. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. The fact that everybody in Israel is emotionally drained and strained by the use of the hostages themselves. This is Hamas's advantage, because all they want to show is create the imagery of starvation, famine, which again is totally fictional, but they create that imagery in order to create pressure on the world. And so what we're doing basically is, unfortunately, Hamas has no consequences for its actions. We're rewarding them with a so-called state after we've seen a modern-day Holocaust take place here. And so long as the hostages are there, which are their only lifeline, and they don't want to move an inch on that, this is exactly where they're hoping will prevent the IDF from going into the next 5-yard line, is where they are at this point, as far as dismantling Gaza at large. And then there's the bigger picture, which is once you destroy Gaza, which has been the objective of Israel, not Gaza itself, but Hamas and its entire infrastructure, then the question is, who do you give this power to? Who's going to govern Gaza? The Egyptians don't want it. The Jordanians don't want it. And the question is, is it going to fall on Israel?
Yeah. Why is it that the Israelis defending themselves are always, or not always, more recently, I don't think that's the way it was, 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. It's become, I don't know, it's become in vogue to go attack Israel, to walk down the street with a Palestinian flag, to walk down the street with an ISIS flag. What the hell is wrong with people? Let me just put it that way.
To my mind, it's 1984, and you're seeing the same thing, by the way, in New York. Look at the latest mayoral elections with Mamdani and the fact that an individual who invokes globalized intifada, we see that words have consequences. We saw it in Pittsburgh, we saw it in Colorado, we saw it in Washington, we see it all over the place. And the fact that people are walking around under the guise of free speech and globalizing and invoking terrorism under the aegis of so-called free speech. This is not a matter of free speech. This is national security. These are people who are coming in with terroristic objectives. They are coming here to use and abuse our own system against us, and we're giving them a pass. They're using our institutions, they're using our entire system. So it's not only on the campuses, it's also part of the political narrative that goes in with the idea of trying to turn it around. And the people who voted, for example, in the primaries from Mamdani, they are overeducated, they are unemployed, living in their parents' basements, and they think that it's trendy for somehow to be socialist, Marxist, and whatnot, but they have no real understanding about what they're talking about. And then you look further as far as what this actually means. We have to talk about the fact that we are allowing and we have normalized anti-Semitism in this country. We've allowed terrorism to thrive the way it has been, and throwing around resistance and globalized intifada as if it means nothing. These are part of the Hamas agenda. It is no surprise that you had reporters from Al Jazeera, Hamas reporters, you had captives, you had people who were taken, who were the hostage takers, who were communicating directly with the people in the encampments at Columbia University. This is not a coincidence. It's part of a larger strategy in order to try to win the hearts and minds and sanitize Hamas, an Islamist organization, as I said before, on American society.
Let me ask you something. Asaf, you and I have talked a number of times, right? We've talked a number of times over the years. Here's what I don't understand. And I've seen a change among my Jewish friends. I mean, I've got one lady I've known 30, 40 years, long time. Voted Democrat every time. Her and I would go back and forth. We'd snip at each other back and forth. George W. Bush, Barack Obama, whatever, right? Hated Donald Trump. 2016, oh, he's the worst thing ever. Da, da, da. After what she saw over the last 4 years, she said, I will never vote for a Democrat again, ever. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't like him, but he's a lot better than anything else I'm seeing. Why would any person who's Jewish in America today vote for these Democrats? Vote for Mamdani. Vote for the socialist up in Minneapolis or the one in Seattle. I mean, it's not just New York City. That's probably this Muslim communist mix is happening in a few different places. I think it's poison. First of all, I hate communists. I just put it out. I despise communism for everything it is. I don't care how you dress it up, right? 100 million people in the 20th century died because of communism. 100 million, maybe more. How can any Jewish person in America vote for a Democrat in 2025?
I'll take it one step further. I think that you are absolutely 100% correct about that. Not only that, all you got to do is look at Europe. Europe is basically
Good
another
Lord.
example of where the Democratic Party is going. The fact that, the infusion and the implosion of the Muslim population at large and how it has taken over those societies. But the fact of the matter is that there are still Jews who want to believe that, and they've bought into this ideology of what is considered to be social justice, and they believe that the Democratic Party is the party of FDR and the fact that they need to vote Democrat. But the fact of the matter is that the partisan aspect that is played out here, that we are seeing an erosion of the bipartisanship when it comes to Israel, issues of anti-Semitism, and other kind of issues that are no longer part of the Democratic platform. And to my mind, you're right. I mean, I think this is really a matter of these are existential issues. And imagine if all of this were happening and Donald Trump were not in office. I mean, there would never be an attack on Iran. There would never be help that the Israelis are getting now as for what they need when it comes to Gaza. All of these things would have not happened under Harris. And there'd be an attempt to try to appease, which is what happened under the Biden administration,
Yeah.
Hamas. And so all you got to do is look, compare apples to apples here.
Got to wake up, man. We've got to wake up, man. This is not looking out for the folks. This is not looking out for America. This is not looking out for what's happening in Israel. It's all wrong. These people are just wrong. They're just wrong, Asaf. Thank you for being here. I got to leave it there. Come back anytime, as you know. Thank you, sir.
Thank you as always. Take care.
How? How? Explain it to me, all right? I'll take a break and be right back. All right, so here's what we're going to do for tomorrow. I'm going to tell you right now what we're going to do for tomorrow because I've become obsessed with this. If you get a DUI in America, you can never go to Canada. That's the law. They won't let you in. Don't care. You're permanently banned from the nation of Canada. If you're an illegal alien in America, get a DUI, you're free to stay apparently. That's cool. Have another drink. Have a drink on me. Stupid behavior, right? First of all, you shouldn't be in the country at all. You're driving drunk, and people are getting killed, right? So I'm watching this video, which we're going to play here for you in a second, of this illegal alien from India. What is his name? Harjinder Singh. Crossed the border illegally 2018. Got his CDL. Got a CDL in California. Given a license to kill in Florida. Pulls a U-turn on a highway with an 18-wheeler. Minivan slams into the truck. They all die. Right? Right. But it's not isolated. You would think it's isolated. It's not. In fact, it's happened way too many times. And anyhow, well, I want you to watch the accident. It's graphic, so if you don't want to see it, turn away for a few seconds. But his response here is ridiculous. Go ahead. Here it is. He pulls a U-turn. The minivan comes into sight. Bam. His reaction is, oh, well, that's annoying. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care. Oh. Well, that sucks. What an idiot. He pulled a U-turn on an expressway. Could he even read the road signs? Dear Governor Newsom, why are you giving CDLs to illegal aliens in the state of California? Governor Newsom, you want to run for president? Why don't you explain to the people of Florida why there's 3 dead people in a minivan from a guy you gave a license to drive a big rig who had no business being behind the wheel now or ever? Why don't you put that on your campaign ads, Mr. Newsom? Why don't you do that? What an idiot. Every time I see it, it makes me more angry. Every time I see it, it makes me more angry. Anyhow, I went back and found other videos.
I have another one right here.
Go ahead. More illegal aliens driving like idiots. What have we got here?
This one is it's in Canada by a Punjabi driver.
All right.
So it's just them all doing these like illegal.
What the hell is that?
These illegal U-turns.
Why do they? What is that? And first of all,
it shows cars that are coming. I mean, they're traveling pretty fast.
Well, yeah, they are. But here's the thing. Let me ask you this. Here's what occurs to me as I watch that. I own that trucking company, right? I gave that guy the keys to my $400,000 or $500,000 rig, and he's driving through the freaking median, through the ditch, ripping my rig up. I mean, how do business owners deal with it? And here's something else, by the way. It makes me think of this. Who's the insurance company? With here, Harjinder Singh. Who's insuring that rig that Harjinder Singh is steering down the road with no legal right to do so? Because I don't think he has any legal right to do so. California gave him a license to kill. I saw another one here a moment ago from another state where an 18-wheeler goes right through, blowing right through a traffic light. And just slams into a whole bunch of people. Kills a bunch of people. Yeah.
I had a kind of a personal experience because I drive back and forth from Ann Arbor pretty frequently, and it's all super narrowed down construction zones.
Right.
Pretty like curvy. And there was a semi truck going over 80 miles an hour, just barreling through this, and it was kind of freaking everybody out. It did appear to be a foreign individual.
Yeah, appeared to be. Well, how dare you? You racist! It's just not. Look. It's insanity. Complete insanity. We're going to dig deep into this tomorrow. What we're going to do is we're going to do a whole monologue on this to start the show tomorrow. We're going to look at illegal drivers, illegal licensing in California, license to kill, DUIs, all of these foreigners in our country driving like complete morons. Here's another one caused by an illegal driver. Can't figure out where this one is. Outside Princeton, New Jersey. Here's another one from August. There's that one that you just showed us turning around. I mean, it's one right after. But just the look on this guy's face. He kills 3 people, and he's like, well, that's annoying. Gosh, I can't believe I just had a car run into me and kill all these people. All right? Insane. Complete story tomorrow. We're digging in. Folks, we're going to dig into this. Governor Newsom, you're an idiot. How dare you turn people loose on the roads of America, on our interstate system, the pride of Eisenhower, to have them get people killed every day? How dare you? How dare you? Yeah. Harjinder Singh will be the poster child for Newsom's failed presidential run. That's what it's going to be. All right. I'm going to take a break here. Find some more videos because the thing is, they're everywhere. Once you start looking for them, they're everywhere. It's not an isolated incident, folks. You've got these people on the road today with you, with your kids, with your mother, with your grandparents, out there driving. They have no business being on the road with you. They can't read the signs. This is what Gavin Newsom wants to do for you, America. No. No. I'll be back. All right, time for sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. There were 12 games in Major League Baseball yesterday. American League winners included Baltimore, Detroit, and Kansas City. National League winners included Philadelphia, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. At the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, there were 4 games. Venezuela shut out Japan 4-0. Chinese Taipei shut out Aruba 4-0. Nevada squeaked by South Carolina 1-0 in 7 innings, and Connecticut crushed South Dakota 13-1. 4 more games today in Williamsport. All are elimination games. There was one NFL preseason game last night. It was the Cincinnati Bengals over the Washington Commanders in Landover, Maryland, 31-17. Mitchell Tinsley had 5 catches for 73 yards for the Bengals, including 2 touchdowns. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock. Thank you for that. We're making plans. I've got some people in the trucking industry. Anthony said, who you know? I know several. One not too far from here. And I believe he was the president of the Michigan Trucking Association. So he runs 30 trucks, I think. Pretty big operation, not too far from where we're seated here, Anthony. We got to find this is really just gotten under my skin. And it's not the biggest thing is the non-reaction from that guy. He doesn't care that he just killed a whole family. Yeah, well, that's annoying. Gosh, I wonder if I'm going to get lunch today. It's appalling behavior. Absolutely appalling behavior. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at Wolverine Water. It's Michigan's premier water treatment company. For those of you in Michigan, WolverineWaterSystems.com. If you've got those stains in your shower or in your toilet, you know, and you're like, or your clothes don't seem as clean as they should, or you're not getting the lather you want when you're taking your shower, well then, maybe you need better water, cleaner water, pure water. WolverineWaterSystems.com. WolverineWaterSystems.com. Yeah. Check them out. Tell them I sent you over. They've been there for 75 years. Paul Mahaney, my good friend, tell him I sent you over. We'll take a break. Be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is. And God bless America, and thank you for being here as we kick off another brand new hour here of the Steve Gruber Show. Glad you're on board. Who do you want in your foxhole, friends? Who do you want there when the chips are down? That's a big question for you every single day here. Who do you want in your foxhole? I want you there. Real Americans next to me. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, the state of Michigan says it needs 66,000 new chargers for EVs at a cost of $1 billion to be where we need to be. 66,000 chargers for EVs. Number two, women have been killed in a blue city again as they look at D.C. and say, hey, can we get some of that cleanup here in Chicago? We'll tell you about that. And number three, over the weekend in Dearborn, Michigan, 40,000 Muslims gathered in the streets. And it's happened for a number of years now. It's 37,000 last year, 40,000 this year. It goes on, right? But I want you to hear from an Islamic leader in Dearborn that I found yesterday on social media because it makes me go, really? This is somebody living in America, an American citizen living here in Dearborn, an Islamic leader calling for the destruction of America. Here it is.
The message for the people of Gaza is going to be more of the message that should be sent to the people here, in that they have achieved victory. We haven't done anywhere near enough. And the people here, I promise you, we do feel ashamed. We do feel like we're not doing enough. We do feel like change needs to come, because change must come. And in the form that it must come is that this empire, the American empire that's been hurting our people since the beginning, the imperial Western powers that have been hurting our people since the beginning, they must fall. And inshallah they will fall. And my message to the people of Gaza and the oppressed peoples across the world is that there are people here, both young and old, who are going to be willing to fight and are willing to put their lives and everything they can on the line to bring these empires down, because they must come down.
There you have it. America must fall. These are your fellow citizens in Michigan. Well, what do you make of that? What do you make of that? Send me an email. I'd be interested to know what you make of that, because obviously it's a bit unsettling, to say the least. A bit unsettling, wouldn't you agree? Calling for the destruction of America and the imperial Western powers who have been their enemy or something like that. I'm just going to let that marinate. You can send me emails, by the way, at stevegruber.com. Go there, send me an email. Tell me what you think about that. You can always follow me on all the live platforms and send me notes there as well. But go to stevegruber.com, send me an email on that one. Dearborn, Michigan, 40,000 people in the streets. And some of those people calling for the destruction of America. And basically saying we have people willing to fight and die to destroy America here right now. Not surprised, are you? You just tell me what you think of that. That's his words, not mine. All right, meanwhile, the state of Massachusetts, like many other blue states, by the way, Illinois yesterday, the governor, J.B. I'm a wide load Pritzker, as big as an 18-wheeler, signed a bill into law giving illegal aliens college aid. Yep, you're in the country illegally, we're going to give you tax dollars to go to school, to go to college. Congratulations. You've broken into the country illegally, and here's some more prize money for you. Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, they spent $100 million on illegals there in secret. In secret. Because they said they weren't doing it. Well, the governor got caught. She's got some splaining to do. Listen.
The Massachusetts GOP is criticizing Governor Maura Healey over a new report that shows shifting shelter costs to the state's home-based program. The program provides rental assistance to migrant families. According to the report, Massachusetts is on pace to spend $97 million on the home-based program in the current fiscal year. The state spent approximately $9.5 million on housing at-risk families. Massachusetts Republican Party Chair Amy Carnevale released a statement following the release of the report, saying in part, quote, "As much as Maura Healey would like the public to think that she's improving the system, the data tells a different story."
Ah, yes, it sure does. And the story that's being told is we care a lot more about these illegals than we do about at-risk families that are already living in Massachusetts. It's disgraceful what they're doing. It's disgraceful that people like this illegal driver from India who killed this family in Florida, they get preferential treatment over people living here legally, born here. By the way, Pam Bondi says, the Attorney General says, when it comes to crime involving illegals, there will be a much higher price to pay going forward. She's not fooling around anymore. She's done with it. Here she is.
They had sanctuary policies here in D.C. No longer. They've been working with us. You have to tell us if there are illegal aliens in your database. If we're arresting someone, we are going to know if they're an illegal alien. So last week I sent out 32 letters to mayors around the country, and I believe to 7 governors, telling them you better comply or you're next. If they don't comply with this, Larry, we're going to work with our other agencies to cut off their federal funding. We are going to send in law enforcement, just like we did during the LA riots, just like we're doing here in Washington, D.C. And if they're not going to keep their citizens safe, Donald Trump will keep them safe. That's what this is all about, making America safe again. That was his only directive, and that's what we're doing.
And let me tell you something. I'll be in the nation's capital next week. I'll be there covering the White House for Real America's Voice. Excited to do it. I do it every couple of months or so. I go over there for a week or 10 days and cover the White House. I'll be doing it again next week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around the nation's capital. I'm going to walk around Washington, D.C. I'm going to look around and see what it looks like compared to what it looked like before. Is it cleaner? Is it safer? What do people on the streets have to say about it? I'm going to ask all of these things. I'm going to ask all of these things, and we're going to find out. I'll be doing videos for social media right there from the front row, so you'll know exactly what's happening down. Look. You can sit here and be told this or that by whomever, but I'm going to go and check for you. I'm going to go do a public service for you. I'm going to go down and find out what the serious situation is, what the answer is. Is it safer? Is it cleaner? Is it better? That's a takeaway. Is it better? Because Donald Trump federalized D.C. I'm going to guess it is. I'm going to guess D.C. is better, but I'll be right there, and I'll be in there in the room with Caroline Levitt. I might be in the Oval Office. Who knows? Might get another ride on Air Force One. You never know what's going to happen in a given week. But a lot going on, obviously, because of what's going on with Zelenskyy and Putin. That's not going to slow down next week. It'll continue, and I'll be right there giving you reports from the front lines. All right, so that's happening next week. Coming up after the break, we've got a lot to get to. Eric Nesbit will be here. Michigan Senate Minority Leader and a candidate for president. Excuse me, governor. Maybe president. Governor first. I'll be back after this. President? Sure. All right, here we go. Back into it now. Joining me now is Eric Nesbit. He is running for governor in Michigan. He's the minority Senate leader in the state as well. He's got a lot on his mind, wouldn't he? Obviously, he's running for governor. He's not a lot to talk about. Eric, thank you for being back on the program.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me, and thanks for always informing your listeners across the state and across the nation.
Well, I appreciate that. We seem to be getting bigger all the time, which is not me personally. I'm trying to stay smaller, but you know.
It's exciting. I think there's a real hunger for in-depth news coverage out there.
There certainly is. You know, we were laughing earlier today and yesterday about MSNBC has gone, bottom up. It's now MS Now, and I'm just going to MS No because it's been a complete failure. When you're dishonest with your listeners or your viewers or your readers, look, if they lose faith in you, it's over. People lost faith in MSNBC a long time ago. Now they're dead. So that's why we do things like this. I appreciate that.
Well, it's a real challenge when only 4%, 3% of reporters are even Republicans not anymore.
Well, that's true. It's true. But some doing the very best work out there, people like John Solomon, my good friend. I mean, look, there's people doing good work out there, and we try to do the same thing here. We try really hard to do the same thing here. But it's hard. You've got things out there. I don't know, this doesn't really come down on the state level, but this thing called NewsGuard, for example. I go out and I get a sponsor, right? Whoever it may be. And NewsGuard will come and hound that company or whatever until they stop sponsoring. They'll go after them. They'll bring Rent-A-Riot and Parkland. Well, you're supporting this or that. So you've got these liberal activists that just attack anybody who even supports these programs like mine financially. It's very difficult. We don't get the McDonald's and the Home Depots because that's not allowed. And the agencies won't allow that to happen.
Well, you're exactly right, Steve. These woke corporate boardrooms, thank God President Trump won last year. I think he's shaking things up, and hopefully a lot of these companies are taking notice of that. But it's a real challenge out there for a lot of conservative media. You're right that the cancel culture is real.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to run a straight news operation anymore because even if you play it down the middle or you're slightly right of center, they attack you. They come after you, and they try to destroy your sponsors. They do. They try to defund you while saying, well, we're all inclusive. We believe in this and we believe in free speech. No, you don't. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in equal opportunity. They don't believe in the robust equal exchange of ideas at all because their actions say something completely different. And when you're trying to undermine programs like this and other people like me, they're just a different voice. Oh, it's a different world, isn't it?
But it all starts in higher education. This is the whole challenge of the university system right now.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely true. There's no question. Let me ask you about something here when it comes to representation. That 35th Senate seat still open. Apparently there's been a lawsuit filed. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so just to inform folks that the 35th Senate District, which is the Great Lakes Bay Area, that's Midland, Saginaw, in the city of Bay City, has been open since January 1st. We knew it was going to be open since November of last year. And this is the longest in Michigan history that a governor has not called a special election. And there's 270,000 citizens in the Great Lakes Bay Area that don't have representation. And as much talk as the Democrats and Governor Whitmer have on democracy and letting people vote.
Yeah. Well,
they won't let them vote.
To that? They believe in democracy. Unless it might help the Republicans, at which point it doesn't matter.
Well, so just so you know, you're aware, and just so your viewers and listeners know, that currently in the Michigan Senate, there's 19 Democrats, 18 Republicans, and I believe we'll win this seat with the candidates that are looking at this seat. And if she calls a special election, they have an election, and the Republicans win, that means it's a tied Senate, 19-19.
But she doesn't have to. She doesn't. It's a strange anomaly in the law. There's no requirement for her to call the special election, is there? I mean, look, politics is a contact sport. I get it. They're playing kind of hitting below the belt. They're playing dirty, but it's legal, isn't it?
Well, this is what we're going to find out through the court system. And again, fortunately, there were some citizens that stepped up and decided to sue. Now, the law says that the governor shall call a special election. It doesn't give a time frame. It doesn't give when. And so she's pushing this as far as she can because she doesn't want to deal with a 50-50 Senate. There's already Speaker Hall and the majority House Republicans over in the House. And so she doesn't have to negotiate even further with me. So it's a pure political play on her part.
It is. Who would be the? How would that work in the Senate? 1919. Who's in charge?
Yeah. So the last time that's happened is in the early 70s, and the Republican was lieutenant governor, and so they had the authority to form, to organize the Senate. However, you have to make a deal with the minority party, because unlike the U.S. Senate, you actually have to get to a tied 1919 vote. That means everybody has to actually show up for a vote, or actually get somebody from the other party to switch and have a unified party. So again, that's just an example from the early 70s. That doesn't mean it has to work that way, but it's something where I think Governor Whitmer just doesn't want to deal with it. And unfortunately, unfortunately for Michigan citizens, especially those in Midland, Saginaw, and Bay, they currently don't have representation in the state Senate. I think it's going to hurt the Democrats even more in next year's election in that district. I was down there a few months ago. I was outside at a grocery store, Kroger's parking lot, handing out leaflets saying, you don't have representation in the Senate. And nearly 60% of the people I talked to knew that. And I think this is going to be one of those issues that comes back to bite them in this competitive Senate seat.
I think it does. All right, real quickly. That's all the time we got. We had a nice conversation there. Eric Nesbit, where do people find you that want to support you for governor?
NesbitForGovernor.com, or we're on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all those fun places. Thanks for covering this, and let's call the election. Call the damn vote, Governor.
Call the vote, Governor. Eric, thank you.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it. There you have it. Eric Nesbit, everybody. I'm going to take a break and be back. Still to come today, Amber Harris will be here. Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council. We're going to talk crypto, and then we're going to talk about some other things with Ivy, of course, as she'll wrap out the broadcast day here. This is the Steve Gruber Show, and I'll be right back. All right, here's a story. Is it real, though? 11-year-old Patricia Harrington, I just found this. I see that's true. 11-year-old girl protects her home from two illegal alien intruders, Rafael Resendez and Rico Garza. And let's see. Apparently it's a fake story, more than a decade old. It's a fun story to read, but apparently it's just fiction. That's too bad. Too bad. I would like to have enjoyed that story. But it's not real. So it is. It's a hoax. So there you have it. Let's see. Still coming. Managing Director of the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council. Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP and all of these cryptos becoming more mainstream. Donald Trump said he's going to buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, right? We'll be talking about this after the break. And it's important. Bitcoin is at 115,543, down a little bit, up $473 for the day. I watch XRP a fair amount. I bought a couple of those once, and I keep them. I mean, you buy them cheap, and you just hope that someday they go up to $50 or something, right? and then you celebrate and dance around. I mean, if you could have bought Bitcoin at $1,000, you'd be dancing around today now, wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, you would. So anyhow, I don't understand it. I don't. The blockchain technology is still a mystery to me, all right? I'll just be honest about it. The highest XRP got anytime recently was $365. I bought it for $1.50, so, you know, we did all right. But again, I don't have enough of it to make a hill of beans. If it goes to $100,000, I'll be celebrating, that's for sure. It won't. Anyhow, let's see. Amber Harris from the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council up next. Maybe she can counsel me a little bit about all this cryptocurrency and what I should and shouldn't do. I'll be right back. All right, as I said, I don't particularly understand crypto exactly, but I'm okay. I still buy some of it. You know, you don't have to understand it to realize, hey, Bitcoin is the greatest appreciating asset in the history of the world. Write that down. Bitcoin is the greatest appreciating asset in the history of the world, bar none. Facts are facts. Amber Harris is joining me, the managing director of the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council, from mystery to mastery. The Trade Council is here on crypto. Amber, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bitcoin is the greatest appreciating asset in the history of the world. I wish we could have bought it at like $100, $1,000.
Yeah, but
or...
know that you're still really early. So even though it's 115,000, this global asset with 5% of the population of the world understanding it, we're still very early. You'll be kicking yourself in 10 years from now saying, I didn't buy more at 115, I promise you.
Well, a lot of people say that. It has no practical value, though. Unlike when I say that, some of these coins that are out there now can be used for transactions between banks and so forth, and they have instant, like, transactions 3 to 5 seconds. I see that. Ethereum, XRP claims that, so do some others, whatever. What does Bitcoin do? A fair question, because I don't know what it does. It holds value, I guess, but what does it actually do?
So it's the first cryptocurrency. It was the first blockchain technology. So what it did is it's an appreciated asset with no middleman that controls it, like XRP, like Ethereum. They all have board of directors. Bitcoin does not. And it is a store of value. It is a medium of exchange. You can transact with it, and you can't necessarily transact with XRP. Nobody wants you to pay them in XRP, but I can bet you there's 100,000 people that want you to pay them in Bitcoin.
And that's fair. And see, that's part of the explanation. What about Ethereum and some of the other ones that are, well known, or better known, I should say?
So Ethereum, the use case that they say is like smart contracts on the blockchain, and using the technology of Ethereum is a practical use case, but it will never be the medium of exchange that Bitcoin can be in the store of value. The technology behind Ethereum, though, the blockchain, is the practical use.
All right, so there's Bitcoin and then there's everyone else. I think that's a fair way to put it, right? There's Bitcoin and everyone else. But
exactly it.
But there's got to be other practical cryptocurrencies because, again, yes, you can get paid in Bitcoin. In fact, if I read this correctly, the United States of America is going to buy $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. Is I right about that?
I think you said Donald Trump was going to buy $2 billion.
Maybe that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and Trump's a great case of why Bitcoin, if you think about the debanking of our current administration and the trucker rally, they couldn't bank. They were stripped from their right to have a banking account. And that's why Bitcoin, you ask use case, that's kind of one of them. But as far as our government buying it, I think the last thing that came out of the Treasury Secretary was that they want to utilize ways to have Bitcoin without buying it and using taxpayer money as of right now.
Let me ask the question that people ask. Because, first of all, you're great. I really appreciate you being here. You're a wealth of knowledge, so thank you for that. Who created Bitcoin?
It's a pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Nope. So how is that? Is it the Rothschilds? Is it government? Who created this thing?
You know what? I think if it was government, it would have been taken down a long time ago.
You think so?
Because it's absolutely decentralized because they can't control it. Governments cannot necessarily control Bitcoin because it is a series of nodes all around the world. Anybody can run the program and the protocol that keeps Bitcoin, the network, running. You can run it, I can run it, and that is why it won't go down. It's because it's global and nobody knows necessarily who's running the node. So the government can't control it. The government didn't create it.
Can't control it, don't know where it came from, and yet I should put money in it. Isn't that frightening to you? Come on. That's a little freaky. I mean, that's a lot freaky.
You know what? I would rather put money behind technology and mathematics that cannot be cracked.
But whose technology and whose mathematics? See, that's where I get, that's where it makes the hair on the back of my neck stand. I'm like, what was the guy's name, the pseudonym again?
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Right. No, it's a fake name.
But you're putting faith right now in credit card companies and the internet right now. You don't know how that works necessarily. We just have faith.
Oh, I don't trust credit card companies. I put no faith in them at all, except that I get frequent flyer miles on my airline. Other than that, I have no use for them, and I pay them off every. But you're right. I mean, there's truth to that. There is.
There's truth behind everything we put faith into, but I would rather have faith in something that has a sustainable network,
not just faith,
like Bitcoin.
blind faith. That's what
It's
it
not
is.
blind faith.
It
It's
is
been around
blind
for
faith.
15 years and seeing the appreciation of the asset, like you said yourself, more people buy into the system, the volatility tapers off and it becomes a medium of exchange. Unfortunately, the dollar and our global asset of the dollar has been inflated almost to non-existent value
That part's
in
true.
America.
That part's true
So
because of the Fed. They continue
Bitcoin,
the privately held Fed that's overseen by the Fed is private, overseen by public, by government. But all right, so what is the current value of Bitcoin today? The market cap.
115,000. Last week it was 124,000.
No. I mean the value of Bitcoin, not per coin. The value of the universe of Bitcoin.
That it doesn't have a market cap. But the cap of how many Bitcoin there will ever be in existence is 21 million.
Right, but how many are out there now? And at that price of $115,000, what does that come out to? 500 billion? A trillion? I have no idea.
I don't know the current value of it. It is in the trillions. It just surpassed Google as the 5th best asset in the world. But there are 19 million in existence that have been mined currently.
Right.
And the last ones that will be mined is in 2140, I believe.
2140?
Mm-hmm.
Like 100 plus years from now?
Correct. The protocol is such that the miners can create Bitcoin up until 2140. And there's this hard cap every year of how many Bitcoin can be mined. And they go in halving cycles, and that's a 4-year cycle. So that's what keeps scarcity down. That's what keeps Bitcoin's price rising. And because it is a scarce asset, it will continue to appreciate in value.
How many do you have? I'm not going to ask you that. No.
Good.
I'm not.
Not enough.
Not enough. See, that's a good answer, Amber. You come back anytime. You're fun. I like you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and seriously, because look, this is the Wild West to a lot of folks, and maybe that's good because there is no control over it, at least not yet. Government would like to have control over it. Government would like to have control over a cashless society. So every time we move anything, they can tax it, regulate it, control it, block us from buying whatever we want, that sort of thing. You know that. Amber Harris, the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council. I assume they can find you online.
You can, mibtc.org. And the goal is just to make Michigan an innovator in this space, right? I feel like too many times Michigan's kind of left behind. And I think this is a great way to make sure Michigan's at the forefront.
Good. Amber, thank you. It's been fun.
Appreciate it.
Really appreciate you. Buy more Bitcoin, Ivy. That's what she said. She said, buy more Bitcoin. She says it's going to be worth more tomorrow than it is today. Going with that. What is that cat's issue? All right. It's the best part of the show, the best part of the day. Every day it's when Ivy shows up, everybody, and they go, Gruber, man, you married up. And I'm like, yeah, you're damn right I did. And why wouldn't I? Ivy?
Good morning, Steve.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
How are things on your side of the studio?
You know, I'm actually trying to hold it together as we just hugged and sent off my niece to college, who's going to be moving into University of Virginia.
And hope they don't
week.
turn her into some raging lefty. Yeah, anyhow.
Yeah, praying for that, praying for guidance, and, you know.
That's good stuff,
Best I could do. Hopefully she'll be too involved with training for softball to be an issue.
Look at the bright side. We get to watch her on ESPN now.
Exactly.
That's a cool thing.
It is a cool thing. So, you know, I'm always talking about these trends.
Can you imagine? Hold on. We're going to be up north somewhere at some local watering hole going, that's our niece. They're going to, yeah, right. No, that's my niece. Yeah, right. Shut up. Anyhow.
I don't care if they believe us or not.
You've got a visitor.
Yes. There's a cat in the studio. Anyhow, so there's this, you know, whole thing right now where if you're too short as a man, they actually break your legs, expand your legs, put it back together to make you taller.
They put steel rods and stuff in there. They
They
intentionally break your femurs.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that makes my eyes water. No, Anthony, I'm not crying. My eyes are watering over the broken leg thing. All right?
You guys didn't see Steve on break like I did.
No, I did. He loves our niece very much, going back to that, and I think she has a very bright future. So, but on the other hand, I won't be breaking my legs to make myself taller. Sorry, Steve.
No, we're good, Ivy. You know.
I mean, I can wear, you know, stiletto heels. You can buy those for me every day of the week to get taller. I am not going to break my legs to expand my legs to be taller.
What are you, 5'3"?
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm 5'3".
Maybe.
Okay, whatever. I'm happy with
Still
my
not
height.
breaking your legs.
Still not breaking my legs.
Yeah, right.
Another thing that I read that, you know, I'm always just stunned by the stupidity of the left. And so school districts are teaching sex education programs.
Are they tone deaf?
And teaching about anal sex to 6th graders.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan.
In Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
6th graders. They're 11 years old, Ivy. 11 and 12, right? Did I miss something here? Sex ed for us didn't include any of that stuff. And somehow we repopulated the planet.
Right, yeah. I'm thinking back to school.
Yeah.
And I do remember, you know, getting some sexual education about protected sex and things like that. But I was a teenager.
Yeah.
In, you know, probably...
Freshman.
Yeah.
Probably.
15 years old. Not 11.
Right. No, not 11.
12.
And not anal sex. I mean, really? Grand Rapids. What are you doing?
Right.
Seriously, what are you trying to prove? And then there's a bunch of gender nonsense in there. It's all in that article.
Yeah.
You know, boys can be girls, girls can be boys. Anal sex is... Well, what are you doing? Stop it. As my mother would say, a school teacher, clean up your act.
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of parents are a bit naive on what their kids learn online and what they have access to online.
Exactly.
And
which is a lot more than we had access to when you were that age or I was. That doesn't matter. When we were younger, you didn't have access to all. This thing is a cesspool, this phone, this device, waiting to gurgle up to your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old. Trust me, they don't need Grand Rapids chiming in with a how-to, manual. Right. They get enough of it right here probably, and talking to their kids, look, kids giggle, hee 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 hee, look, hee hee hee.
Yeah.
They don't need a how-to manual from the school district.
No, they definitely don't. And that does say something about, hey, I'm the parent, and I can decide how I want to talk about sex to my kids, not the school.
Right.
If you're going to be teaching any sort of sex education in school, you need to tell me first as a parent, and then I need to give you approval if that's something that I want you to do or not.
Yeah.
And I think it's completely unnecessary and out of bounds to teach an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old.
It's wrong. It's just wrong. Call it just wrong.
Yeah.
100%. No business doing that. Grand Rapids, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Let me read you the 6th grade curriculum.
All right, go ahead.
For 6th graders, their program would have students complete these tasks. Define vaginal, oral, and anal sex after hearing a mini lecture, defined racism and intersectionality, whatever that means,
right,
and describe their impacts on sexual health after viewing a series of video clips and engaging in class discussion.
So there has to be racism mixed in with this anal sex. Well, the kids are getting screwed, that's for sure. Anyhow, go on.
Pardon the pun. But yeah, I mean, the definition of intersectionality states the complex cumulative way in which the effects of multiple forms of discrimination, such as racism, sexism, and classism, combine, overlap, and intersect, especially in the experiences of marginalized individuals or groups.
Good Christ.
I'm like, what does that even mean?
They don't even freaking know. Back to my mother, gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook. Yeah, how about math, science? How about let's get our kids to be able to read first? Let's get.
Here's where I'm going with
off the bottom of the list in terms of how educated our kids are, and then we can think about discussing other things in
Here's
class.
where I'm going with it. Before you start talking about anal sex, how about you pull your head out of your ass and stop teaching kids stuff they don't need to. How about that? How about we just go right there?
Right. Agreed.
Teach trades before butt stuff.
Yeah, how about that? How about you teach kids to, know math
let's do
and
shop
read.
class again.
Yeah, shop
let's do
class
art
we did.
again.
Yeah.
Let's do, robotics and things like that. And then just simply, how bad the state of Michigan is in terms
horrible.
of
Here
kids
it
being
is.
able to read.
Oh, here it is. Funny you should mention that. Let's see, headline, 60% of Michigan third graders struggle with reading. Okay, so 60% of the third graders can't read, but let's make sure they can understand anal sex in 6th grade.
And
What
intersectionality
the hell is wrong with you people?
and
Grand
racism.
Rapids, come on.
Yeah. It's completely stupid.
It's online. It's wrong. No business. You don't need to be teaching kids. Here's your how-to manual. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Stop it.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Hey, Ivy.
Let's get back to some common sense goals in education, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
There you go. Thanks, Ivy. Love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
What'd you learn so far? Well, we learned this and this and we'll be right back. So I'm reading, Alyssa Slotkin has become exposed for the far leftist that she is, right? Michigan is the cherry capital of the world, but growers are facing death by 1,000 cuts. Tariffs and the freezing of USDA grants only make it worse, she says. But Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, just a couple of years ago, wanted a 650%, I'm not exaggerating, 650% tariff on imported cherries. So, kind of hard to balance that out, isn't it, Alyssa? From Grok, I get this. In 2019, Michigan processors and lawmakers, including Senator Gary Peters, sought a 650% tariff on Turkish dried cherries, citing unfair subsidies. Michigan producers have pushed for tariffs to counter subsidized imports from Turkey, accused of dumping dried tart cherries at up to 648% below fair market value. Yeah. Further, AI says a 10% tariff on imported cherries could make Michigan cherries more price competitive domestically by increasing the cost of foreign products, which we have seen in tomatoes, which we have seen in blueberries, which we have seen in other agricultural products that I've read about recently. Tariffs make domestic production more attractive. Simple stuff here. Alyssa Slotkin mathematically impaired again. It's fine. It's fine. Gary Peters, though, gets it. He wanted a 650% tariff on Turkish cherries. All right, fight the good fight. Keep the faith. God bless America. When you come back tomorrow, tell me who you want in your foxhole. This is The Steve Gruber Show.